Good evening, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Cambodia Global Dialogue of Southeast Asia TV. Today I have the pleasure to have two good friends who are expert in the building industry, and we will focus the topic of tonight's dialogue more on quality construction. And as you know, since we joined the ASEAN Economic Community, we could see the development of the real estate industry, the construction of not just before we have just a house, villa, boray, as you say, but the last several years we see a thriving or booming, construction in high-rise, office tower, condominium, retail space. All these are changing the landscape of the country. But I would say it's going very fast. And one thing is always in the mind of people is that how good is the quality of this construction? How good, how I would say, how safe it is. And sometimes, the design is nice, but how do we know the structure is solid? So tonight I'm just going to be having a nice discussion a bit on how can we make, this particular industry sector a good sector, a sector that the public can rely, a sector that the country can be proud of. So, Arnold, so I'm going to give you a few minutes you can introduce yourself, background, where you're coming from, and, how long you've been in the sector.
Firstly, thank you very much for having us on your show. It's a pleasure for us to be here. I've been in construction for more than 20 years.
Wow, you don't look that old.
I hide it well. And my job has enabled me to actually travel, reside, and work out of various Southeast Asian countries. So I get a good look into the various stages of maturity of the construction industry in those specific territories. And we can actually see over the last 10 years that the countries which are deemed developing are really catching up with the other countries which are deemed more developed already. And you can see from the form of design, the way the construction methods are, especially the speed of construction.
Yes.
That's where I come from. I hope I can provide some positive or
all right. Good critical
feedback.
Comment, feedback, yes, yeah. But you're based where now?
Currently I'm based out of Singapore.
Okay.
But my current job entails me to be responsible for territories in Southeast Asia.
Okay, good. Albert?
Yes.
I think you're from Singapore, but you've been based in Cambodia for so long, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Albert Chu. I'm the director and the group CEO of Dynamic Pharma Group. We start off in pharmaceutical, medical equipment, scientific equipment. Now we have a business unit in construction chemical. I'm an accountant by profession and by training, but in the construction side, I deal a lot with the owners, the developers, the consultants, the architects, and things like that. And quite often we talk about the problems of the construction here, what sort of quality they want, and that thing. And we will discuss the thing with the experts and the consultants and coming out with a solution. So,
Well, I want to set the stage a bit of the magnitude of the construction industry, right? From in our economy, we have, I would say, a very thriving manufacturing, right?
Yes.
So after manufacturing, one would think it'd be tourism, but it's not. It is in the last several years, it's in the construction industry. And just to give you an idea, like in 2015, we have about some $3.3 billion in real estate investment, right? And the first 6 months of this year, we are seeing the number jump to some 7 billion.
Yes.
So it's not a small industry. It employs a lot of people. And companies who are in the building industry, we're talking about more than 1,800 companies. Of course, some are local company, some are joint venture with foreign company, some are purely foreign company. So in the context of Cambodia being in the ASEAN economic community, you see all this free flow of exchange of services, service sector, that sort of thing. So it's not a small industry per se,
Yes.
you know. But in your experience, Arno, when you look at the development, right? Your 20-year experience, you see a country like Cambodia, you know, starting slow and then suddenly have a rapid pace of development. What do you see as a challenge? You know, because sometimes the private sector, they see opportunity, they move for it, but it's not that the public sector are ready. See, that's the thing. See, what's your impression? First, of Cambodia, and then you can benchmark a bit with the region.
The way I look where Cambodia is right now is going through one of the mega trends, where you have a thriving city, growing, booming, and then you have a lot more people coming up from the provinces who are coming into the city looking for jobs. Right? For example, the better life.
Yes.
Yeah. When you have population coming into the city, then you have issues of how do you support the population. You have people who want to own cars, people who want to have more housing, people who want to set up establishment for food. The basic infrastructure needs to support this sudden surge of population coming to the city. In this respect, you will then see the trend of how then would the public sector start to support this demand. And the first thing we need to do is basically infrastructure, in the form of roads, public transport, power. These will be the main areas of, I would say, concern.
Yes.
In order to upkeep the demands of the new population coming into the city.
Yes.
Likewise, everything will then cascade into a waterfall in terms of then residential, manufacturing for food, manufacturing for services, electronics, garments, etc.
Yes.
So eventually they will come to a point where when you see in developing countries, where construction is then broken into segments.
Yes.
Residential, industrial,
Okay.
and then you've got infrastructure. In this instance,
The early stage of urban planning per se.
Exactly. And you will see a big, I would say, percentage of that total construction GDP going into that infrastructure part. Followed suit by residential as well as the industrial portion.
Yes.
So I see where Cambodia is right now, smack in the middle of what's going to happen in the next couple of years.
Okay. So we are sort of like behind a bit a neighbor, but we're catching up, right? Yeah,
That's right.
But Albert, you've been here for a while with even though you are in a different sector in the early days, your company now start to have a specific, sort of like a subgroup that look at the chemical engineering, that sort of thing. But you see a trend, right? You see a certain progress there. What is your impression?
I certainly see a trend because the investor now coming in from overseas, and they want better quality, better construction, so they bring in the technology, the techniques, the know-how into the country. So, so the local construction industry must catch up with the overseas.
Yes.
Because the landowners, the architects, the consultants, the main contractors, they're all coming in. They are requesting for all these better products to build a better construction building in this country.
Well, I have to say, my own case, right? In '98, that was a long time ago. Was younger, full of dream, and we want to build our own home, right? And we build our own home. We still live in the same house, but I can recall now. Now as I see the new construction, right? It's so fast,
Yes.
It's like 1 week you see one more floor. In those days, in '98, 99, we would build, we have to wait until like 1 week before they pull the wooden pillar, right? And then every day the construction come and pour the water over the cement, So I asked them, when you guys gonna go to the next floor? I said, we have to wait 10 days. the cement will be solid, mature. We remove the wood, then we go to the next one. And the building material is also very limited. The glass, when you cut it, you can see the jagged edge. You're so afraid to touch the glass, it may cut you, right? I mean, we come a long way. Nearly 15, 16 years later, we come a long way. The standard of product and quality and everything. Are you?
The landscape in just look at Phnom Penh. The landscape in Phnom Penh has changed over the years, especially in the last 5 years.
Yes.
Initially, it is a 2-story, 3-story building, and now they are building 26, 30 stories. What that means is that they start to dig in.
Yes.
To have structural.
Yes.
And they have piling, and once you start digging, you don't know what's in the ground. Then you find that your ground is soft.
Yes.
You got water. Then what do you do with it? Because when you build a 2-story house, you only put the slab in and that's it.
Yes.
And when you start digging to have a better foundation, then you start to have problems.
Yes.
Then how do you solve the problems?
Like what? Water coming out or something?
Yes. Then you need waterproofing. You got structural problems. Yes. Then you got concrete, better concrete. All these things have to come to place. Then when you start going up, then what do you do with the water coming in? Because when you are above ground, it's okay, but when you have underground, basement, then you've got to start having better technology and better things to address the water coming in.
Yeah, I mean, you use the word better, which is a good word, because in the early days, like the Maslow hierarchy of need, right? We just want to have food, right? And then we want the next step, right? In construction, the same thing, right? In the day I built my house, nearly 20 years ago, we are happy to have a house. We're happy to have, a decent window, right? But now you mentioned the word better. I mean, quality,
yes.
Better quality. People, disposable income. Cambodia just graduated from the low income country to a low middle income country. So the disposable income of our population is rising.
Yes.
And with that rise of disposable income, we want to improve the quality of our life, right? Now, I turn to you more for quality construction, right? In your experience, of course, Singapore is so advanced, right? But so is Thailand, so is Malaysia, right? What do you define by when I say a quality building?
Well, quality.
Not too technical, though.
Sure. I try my best.
Try your best, yeah.
In these days, as part of this urbanization mega trends,
Yes.
as people become more affluent, they know what they want, they know what they need, and lastly, they know when they need it. Yeah. So this when issue becomes a time factor. So now construction is not just construction. We're talking about speed of construction.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And usually when you want to have speed, often things are sacrificed. Yeah.
Tension.
Yeah. When you want speed of construction, sometimes you give up maybe what we call the quality of construction. Yeah, because you want something
You
to
cut
be.
corner.
Some people try to do that.
Okay.
I didn't say all people try to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, but
fair.
but technology, these days technology, and particularly technology coming from chemistry, has actually allowed us to actually satisfy some of these needs. For example, you talked earlier about when you're building your house, you have to wait for like 10 days before they remove the supports and then they go to the next floor.
Yeah.
These days we've got actually chemistry, or chemicals which we can add into concrete, which gives concrete a form of an acceleration of curing. So it actually it cures and reaches its design strength much quicker, taking less than half the time usually, so that you can actually speed up construction.
Yes.
So what used to take 10 days for you, you could now do it easily in 3 days.
So it's not necessarily cutting corner. In fact, it's using technology to do the same amount, same quality work, but less time. I think it's a good time to stop, take a short break. When we come back, you give us more example like that. Okay, let's continue now. I can see that cutting corner you don't have to do it, because with the right technology you can still speed up the work while still preserving quality work. Any other example on how you can use technology to solve I would say problem in the say structural thing, or when, like you were saying, Albert, when you dig, water come out? Because bear in mind, Phnom Penh, we are in a plain, a Mekong plain.
Yes.
So water is there.
Yes. Before I answer that point, I'd like to add on to what Arno is saying. Is like adding chemicals or chemistry into concrete. It also has other added benefits, like increases the compressive strength of the concrete and makes it more stronger, more durable, better looking, and you don't get the little holes, what we call honeycombs.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So again, by using that chemicals, the chemistry, it adds value, adds on to the strength of the concrete. Right. So just taking on your point on the structural, yes. In the Mekong region, there's a lot of water. What do you do with that sort of things? And when you start digging, then you get water. How do you address the water? And how do you stop the water? A lot of the construction that I see here, like especially in factories, they use plastic sheeting.
Okay.
And that's waterproofing.
Yeah.
But to me, in the technical sense, it's not, because plastic sheets are very thin.
Yes.
And then you got the rebars, and it puncture the hole, and then when you put in the concrete slab there, the moisture comes up. So there are other products in the market where you put membrane to stop the water. The membrane may have more elongation, more elasticity there to stop the water.
So these are all scientifically
Yes.
tested, proven.
Yes.
In other countries. I don't know. Any other example you think you can share with us?
Well, maybe go back to the structural part that Albert was talking about. These days with technology, you can actually reduce the size of structural members. For example, concrete we used to have stick as this square table. You can even make it now half the size, and to support the same kind of weight, which you used to be more common 10, 20 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah? So this allows, for example, a much higher amount of gross floor area.
You're right.
For an owner.
Yes.
Yeah, so number one, he has
Yes.
more gross floor area. Yeah, number two, he can actually speed up his construction, and by speeding up the construction, also he requires then lesser man labor hours on site. So he reduces his overheads.
Okay.
And
So there's a lot of economics behind that.
that's right. Not only that, there's also safety involved, because when you've got less people on site working, there's more, or there's less exposure to a safety incident. And last but not least, of course, to the owner himself, the return on investment comes much quicker.
Yes.
He can start renting out his
You're
apartment or the office space.
So it's amazing the ripple effect of what most people think. It's just chemical. It's just but it's mind-boggling what you just described. From a macro perspective, as to the saving for the owner, the speed up. That they can put their property on the market, that sort of thing.
From the landowner developer's point of view, the holding cost. If you speed up the development, the construction part, you can deliver faster and you can collect your money.
Yes.
So the longer you delay the whole thing, there's a holding cost to it, and there's a cost of funding. So, so again, you speed up the thing, it's better. So that will help the landowners, the developers, the owners to
But this we're talking about structure, right? But for me as a non-engineer, right, I always wonder what's inside the cement, the cable and everything. Because say for example, we talk about safety, right? At the end of the day, the building is sound. It's not going to collapse. Okay, one risk out, right? But if there's a fire, how do I know that the cable is fire resistant? Because most people, you correct me if I'm wrong. Most people in the fire, they die of asphyxiation, right?
Yes.
They don't necessarily just die of getting burned, right?
Yes.
But how? But that's to me is part of quality also. You know, the M&E, that sort of thing. What's your view on that?
We go maybe 2 steps back just to answer
Okay.
about
2 step back, fine.
fundamentals of concrete. I try not to be too technical. Yeah?
Okay.
So when you look at concrete, right?
Yeah.
Concrete is primarily made of aggregate, which are the stones,
Yeah.
sand,
Yeah.
cement,
Yes.
and then basically admixtures of water. Yeah.
Yes.
All these are mixed together, and they go through a process called hydration. They
Yes.
then mix this mixture, go into a plastic state, into this
Yes.
solid form.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is what we call concrete. Yeah?
Concrete.
If we look at concrete alone, it is a very wonderful construction material because it's also got very high compressive strength. You know,
Yes.
when you want to load it on
Yes.
and try
Yes.
to press it down, it's got very high compressive strength. But when you try to bend it, yeah, that's where it doesn't have any tensile strength.
Oh,
So
okay.
what they put into concrete are what we call steel reinforcement
Yes,
bars.
yes, yes.
So these 2 basic products makes your reinforced concrete. Yeah. Now the 3 things which can cause a problem with reinforced concrete,
Yes.
I call them the 3 Ds.
Okay.
Yeah. One is deterioration.
Okay.
This will happen over time. Yeah. Another one is what we call damage. This could be a one-time incident, maybe something knocked into a structure that it cracks and it becomes not suitable for for
Yes.
safety.
Yeah.
And the third is what we call design, meaning somebody
Design.
had designed it wrongly.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
the 3 Ds basically are the main things which can actually cause your structure to be unsafe.
Yes.
So that's what's just to answer the
Yes,
question. What's in there?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, so hope this gives a bit.
Oh yeah. Now it yeah.
very clear
Yes.
picture. Yeah. So in terms of durability, yeah, it is very important that we look at also number 1,
Yeah.
the materials used.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2, the application, which means the skill. Yeah. Right. And of course, number 3 would be the design of this structure. So all these 3 have to play a equal important part in order for your structure to be durable.
Yes. I'll touch on the skill later on, because in terms of craftsmanship, how do we regulate the people so that people don't just come to say, "Oh, I can do it," and then they deliver a sloppy job and they cost a lot of money for the owner to redo it. But I'll touch that later on. But you know, so that's structure, right? What other thing that you consider would make it as a quality building, right?
Okay, these days, when we look at quality, most of the time people look at an angle where they can actually feel. Yes, they can actually see. The final product.
Yes.
Yeah. But more often than not, it is more about what we cannot see.
Okay. Now you create some curiosity now.
Yeah. And the only thing we can do, unless we start to adopt what we call post-construction or what we call non-destructive testing on every single structure which you build, which is going to take a lot of time and money.
Yes.
Yeah. The only thing we can do are preventive measures. Yeah, and preventive measures have to come in the form of best practices.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, have to come in the form of experience, know-how, to be cascaded down from other, let's say, more mature territory.
Yes.
Yeah, so that the learning curve of a developing, I would say, territory will not be as steep. Rock will not be as flat, but steeper, so you can learn much faster.
Yeah.
So in terms of quality wise, these are the things which we need to look out for, that structures are built according to the design, the correct materials are used, and of course it is placed correctly, because sometimes when an architect designs something and it's very I would say in terms of the design very fancy.
Yeah, fancy. Yeah.
It is often very difficult to build, and it's often the things which are more difficult to build is where you find issues during the construction stage.
But you know, the case Cambodia, because our economy is so wide open, we're so welcoming, and the entry barrier in terms of foreign service provider coming to the country. I was negotiating the WTO accession, so that's when we liberalized most of our service sector. Surveyor, architect, engineer, we open up now, and I think this is probably where you can say about bringing the best practice from neighboring economy. Yeah, and I can see the landscape now is going up. The use of better quality material, because if the market is closed, right? If the barrier to entry is so high, or if the tariff for that matter, so I think here there's a good combination, of a lower tariff for goods, coming in, and there's also low barrier for entry of service provider. And this is probably a good combination. That's why you see a thriving building construction right there. Yeah.
Yes.
But inside the building, right, standard code are crucial, right?
Yes.
Cambodia do not have a building code yet. I think we refer to other international building code. What's your view on that?
It's not new. Everybody, even our neighbors,
Okay.
never started with their own building.
Okay. All right. So I feel better.
Everybody started or adopted. For example, in Singapore, we started with the British standards.
Okay.
Yeah, in Thailand, they actually started with American standards, for example. So eventually, when the industry starts to mature and evolve, and they know the certain limitations or certain codes which are not applicable in our kind of climate or our kind of environment, then they basically choose the best of or the most practical into the local code. Yeah, but we can surely adopt.
Yes.
You can surely.
All right. I feel better. We talk a lot about climate change. We talk a lot about green economy. But these are what technology can help, right?
Yes.
Build better buildings, more energy efficient, that sort of thing.
More greener buildings, more energy saving, and that kind of thing. I think Arnold was talking about best practices.
Yes.
We know what quality building we want. In the end, we can do the design, and who's going to monitor and see the compliance there.
Yes.
I think if you have your end product you want, and you must have a standard.
Yes.
And best practices standard or minimum standard.
Yes.
And I think that standard, minimum standard, has to be written into the code, code or building standards or whatever, and then for some regulatory body to assess it and say, is this safe? Is this the best? Or does it meet the minimum standard?
Okay.
I think then you need some compliance. If you have anything happen, you want to have benchmark it and measure to think and say, did you do what you say you were going to do, or did you plan according to what it is allowed and what is allowable?
Yes.
It's only the unethical ones.
So that's why it's so important to have a well-regulated sector, particularly for the building practitioner itself, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, from the contractor down to the site supervisor, down to the engineer, the architect. I agree, that architect and engineer do not sometimes like each other. The architect always grand idea, fancy curve, fancy thing, and then the engineer is always struggling, how do I make the building stand, right? So it's quite interesting.
It's a universal relationship.
Is that right? But I want to say that Cambodia is a evolving, economy. We are learning, through from our exposure to the neighbor. The building that you see rising up in Phnom Penh now are mostly built by foreign company.
Yes.
But of course, in partnership with the local company. To me, this is one of the best, sort of like practice. You got to learn from the practitioner. There's no shortcut.
Yeah, but different countries have different standards.
But how do you reconcile that then? So that'll be the subject of when we come back.
Okay.
How do we reconcile, the Japanese building according to Japanese code, the Brit one is pushing for the code, the American for their code, that sort of thing. How do we reconcile? That'd be quite interesting. Yeah. I know. Okay, I just mentioned about green building, that sort of thing. These are what we aspire someday to get there, right? But I think fundamentally now we want a solid, sound, structural building that would stand, the test of time a bit, right? What would be the minimum requirement in your experience?
Well, the thing is, we can safely look around Phnom Penh, for example. Yeah. So far, I haven't heard of any collapse of buildings as yet.
Okay.
So we must be doing something at least.
Right.
Not wrong.
Not wrong. Okay.
Not wrong.
I like the positive spin. Yeah.
Yeah. If we want to very quickly implement something overnight,
Yes.
I do not see this gaining traction as much, because you got an entire full range of people in the value chain,
Yes.
who would then need to slowly partake, participate, and then I would say practice and regulate.
Yes.
Yeah? So it's going to be a long-term strategy.
Yeah.
But this has to be vested.
Yeah.
Not only by the regulators.
Yeah.
But also the different stakeholders.
Okay.
This would mean architects,
Yeah.
consultants,
Yeah.
contractors, developers, and as well as the government.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a stakeholder approach, right? Albert, what's your view on that?
Yeah, I think you have to break it down to the whether the construction, the structural side of it, or the safety side of it, or the electrical MVP, electrical side of it. You got to write that standards into it.
Yeah.
The standards, the compliance issue, is you got to measure it, and I think by introducing licensing of the stakeholders.
Yes.
For example, the architects. Do you have a minimum standard? Do you have qualifications, paper qualifications to go with it? Do you have the experience to go with it?
Yeah.
And let the industry profession regulate by itself. The electricians, again, they have their own professional body. Then, do you have the experience? Do you have the qualification, training to support that?
Yeah.
So again, that industry group will regulate itself. Whether the government regulatory body wants to be part of that regulation is another thing. I think we got to carve out the different stakeholders.
Yes.
And the government is the lead and take the lead on all that.
Yes.
And again, coming out with the basic standard first.
So you talk about building practitioner. I can see what electrician.
Yes.
These are the craftsmen, right? These are tradesmen.
Yes.
Yeah, tradesmen. We're not talking about the engineer. Engineer, they have the what you call the soil, geotechnical engineer. You have the civil engineer. You have the what else? Mechanical engineer.
But you got structural
engineer, right? The one that look at the
correct.
But for the tradesman, I can electrician is one.
Yes.
Plumbing.
Yes. MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing.
Yes.
These are the after the structure is finished, so the MEP will come in. I think from the design stage, the architects and the consultants will come in. They will ask how tall is the building and how many stories you're going to build it, how much you're going to dig into the ground, whether it's 30 meters, 40 meters, and what's your piling, and how much power do you need to go into the ground to make the building safe.
Yeah.
Then you got to measure. You got to state the floor slab. You got to be at least how many millimeters or centimeters thick there.
Yes.
So you don't want your floor slab to be that thin when the minimum standard is there.
Yes. Yeah.
You can add on to be stronger for better soundproof qualities, but that's a minimum standard you got to have.
I just out of curiosity, what sort of tradesman would hang all these big window panel like the Watana Tower, for example, right? I mean, what sort of skill? Is that a skill that should be regulated? It's not. It doesn't look easy when I see those guys there.
Yes. I suppose when you hang these windows, the product quality is in question.
Yes.
I think the more important part is the safety issue.
The safety issue, yeah.
Right? And how you going to get the thing up there. And how you going to secure it to the building.
Yes, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And how do you make it watertight. Right?
Okay.
So again, the safety issue, the how do you get it up there?
Yes.
Your
yes.
product may be good.
Yeah.
Any manufacturer will say, my product is good.
Yeah.
But we need to have a standard as, do you need crane? How do you get it up there?
Well, I always find challenging some building in Phnom Penh, they're tall, but I don't know how they're going to clean it because they don't have this gondola there that can come down and clean it. But and Cambodia is still a dusty town.
Yes.
You know, and I think some of the architects who design who are from London or from Seoul, they design fancy building, but they didn't realize that in Cambodia, dust can settle very fast, and when you don't make it easy to clean that window pane there, like glass pane there, it can get dirty quite fast.
Overseas, I think they use a lot of Spider-Man and the
Yes.
rock climbers to do the
Is that right?
thing.
But they use repellers, yeah. Repellers who basically scale down from to the top of the
Yes.
building,
Yes.
and then they clean from the top to the bottom.
Ah.
Yeah, so these are very highly paid window cleaners.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, who are highly skilled. Yeah.
Wow. But again, this all boils down to safety.
Yes.
Quality is not just quality about the building. It's quality of the maintenance. It's quality. How do you ensure that the building? If I say the classification, right? Class A, Class B, Class C. This is probably the major difference, right? Quality. What do you have in this Class A building, for example?
You see, just like in the US, you got to have the Food and Drug Administration, your FDA, and if you want to process food, you must have minimum standards.
Yeah.
Right? They will say your floor must comply with the HACCP certification, so that you make in the process of food production it is safe. The floor or the paint doesn't emit any toxic substance. So again, the safety standard is there. You must say if you are F&B, food and beverage, or whatever plant you have, you must have that standards. So that standards is we can learn from overseas. I think for Cambodia at this stage, we come up with a very basic standard of structural to make it safe for the thing, and then we can slowly stage 2 or stage 3 look into the F&B, how to make it food production is safer, or then I think the safety is the main issue. Safety for the occupants, safety for the workers.
Yeah, to start with, yeah.
Yes, safety for the workers, safety for the occupants, and or the installation part and the occupants.
Yeah.
So we got to look at the safety issue because we want everyone to be safe and enjoying the benefits of it. And again, look at it, the after sales service, the maintenance part. How do we address that? So again, once we can learn from our neighboring countries, that standard is important.
I see a lot of good building who suffer. I mean, nice building, but a year, 2 years later, they become, pretty much a rundown, mainly because the maintenance issue, the impracticability of maintaining the building, when you don't have people, rock climber to clean the glass, something like this, it gets dirty very quick. See? But anyway, I think we're almost running out of time, and perhaps I ask Anu if you have some parting thought you want to share from your 20-year experience, roaming around the region, working on, construction industry. What's your...
Well, Cambodia is in actually very exciting time. You've got as what you mentioned also, foreign direct investments. You got higher building, taller structures, more fanciful designs, and the skyline of Cambodia will change in the next decade, I'm sure. How the construction industry in Cambodia will react to this increasing demand of what is it, quality, speed, and maybe even beauty. Yes. It will evolve. It's basically a natural process which we have to do, but it doesn't come without effort. And the effort, I would say, has to still come from the various stakeholders. Whether in a country like Singapore, where it's so small, you can have the government to regulate and everybody have to follow. In countries like in Thailand, right, we do not actually have a lot of regulation, but industry is self-regulated and motivated mostly by the industry players themselves. So you have different scenarios, and Cambodia is still at the correct time where they can opt and choose which would be the correct model they would like to, I would say, mirror. Because construction will come, it will peak, and Cambodia is on its way to becoming a vibrant city in the next decade. And all the things which our developing neighbors have experienced, which means now we have the speed of construction, taller construction, and of course at the same time when we want beauty, like maintenance, for example, it will all fall into place.
Wow, indeed. You brought these three criteria that can be cohabitate together. It's not exclusive. You can have a beautiful building, you can have a building that is secure, that is safe. And what's the third one again? You mentioned beauty, speed. Yes. You're right. So I mean, something that you can build fast and save some money.
And still have quality.
And still have quality and beautiful.
Because we've got technology.
Exactly. So I'm in favor of technology. Albert, your parting word.
My parting words, and you mentioned earlier that is money, and in a free economy, we are all there to make profits. In the process of making profits and maximizing our profits, I think we should not forget the ethics, not compromise the standards and the safety just because I want to make more money. I think the quality, the appearance, the maintenance free or less maintenance after you purchase it or moved in, these kind of things, I think all developers, whether it's the construction, the landowners, the developers, or the tradesmen, must put an honest living into it and not just say, I want to maximize my profits. And I think that is my parting comment there.
Ethics.
Yes.
Ethics,
And be honest.
And be honest. And you still can make money. Let's face it. I think this is how I'm going to wrap up. Okay, that's from my non-technical background and from a short discussion. This is how I see it. Cambodia is at a stage now where we are in the middle of a region that is booming. So we can only but grow because of the growth of the region, right? ASEAN Economic Community, one regional supply chain, one production change, investment coming in, retiree from other country are coming in. And what we have also domestically is a rise of the middle income, who now want better quality, more speedily
better
investment, choice. Better choice, that sort of thing. So it's a push and pull, right? A factor where they want something that they are proud of, and yet they don't want to necessarily have to squander the money, right? But at the same time, there's the other tension that those who are on the building side may want to make more money, may want to cut corner, may want to save time, so that's a second component. Then I see a third component, which is the component of the state, the regulator, who's been tasked, mandate, trusted, to provide a regulatory framework that regulate the building practitioner to do the right thing. So I think if you put all these three together, what you have is a good combination where, as a country that is evolving rapidly, you can learn the best practice from the region. You can learn from the neighbor, and you can skip the learning curve, and ultimately provide a good final end product.
Yes.
That is worthwhile, that is good, that is long lasting, and yet economically feasible for the public.
Yes.
I mean, what do you think?
Yeah.
It's a good wrap up.
Yes.
All right.
Excellent.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's a pleasure to have you on board to share this experience, Albert. Yeah. So it's good. It's good, and I'm learning something.
Thank you for inviting.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.